I wish I could make reaction videos, but I was born in 1956. I've heard all these songs. What could I possibly react to?
I was worth it, found my purpose, ran from the abyss to the surface, the reward of constantly working.
Hey whippersnappers, Brian here to Boomer Reacts. Welcome back. If this is your first time here, thanks for checking me out. I listen to rap and hip-hop songs using lyric videos, and then I'll let you know what I thought about them. So today is Tuesday. If you haven't heard, Tuesdays are going to be rotating between three themes: female rappers, underground songs, 80s songs. And today is Underground Tuesday. And I'm going to be reacting to You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train by Vinnie Paz. I've reacted to Jedi Mind Tricks before. Uncommon Valor was the song. So I've done like early history of Vinnie. I'm just going to read a little about his solo projects, and then we'll get to the reaction. Vinnie Paz released his debut solo album, Season of the Assassin, in June of 2010, 18 years after Paz had originally started rapping. Wow, almost 20 years to do a solo album. A few months later, Paz released the Prayer for the Assassin EP. The EP contained 4 remixed tracks from Season of the Assassin and a music video for the track Keep Moving On. It was only available for download and was released in October of 2010. After Army of the Pharaohs released their album The Unholy Terror in 2010, and after Jedi Mind Tricks released their album Violence Begets Violence in 2011, Vinnie released his second solo album, God of the Serengeti, in October of 2012. That's a busy guy. The album spawned 4 singles: Cheesesteaks, 7 Fires of Prophecy, The Oracle, and Wolves Amongst the Sheep. It's another song that was not an official single, but you know, it's popular with you guys. This is by far the most requested song for Vinnie Paz. I just always think that's fascinating. You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train refers to the memoir and documentary of Howard Zinn. Zinn would tell his students that you can't be neutral on a moving train. Events are already moving in certain deadly directions, and to be neutral means to accept that. Zinn dismissed neutrality, choosing to write reports, news stories, and multiple books from the perspective of the movements that he was active in. Prolific and without pretension, Zinn chronicled the civil rights and anti-Vietnam War movements for the general public. The song was written by Vinnie Paz and produced by JBL the Titan and C. Lance. Don't know that I know those names. The song includes the spoken word of Howard Zinn and lyrics of House of Cards by Ophelia of the Spirits. All right. Not quite sure who he, no, she, they are. Never heard of Ophelia. Okay. Oh, I couldn't find a good lyric video, so I'm just going to scroll.
Governments lie all the time. Well, not just the American government. It's just in the nature of governments. Well, they have to lie. And since they don't represent the people, and so since they act against the interests of the people, the only way they can hold power is if they lie to the people.
You don't know what I know. You can't see the spreading stain of deception. I am cruel to myself. Things will never be the same.
If they told people the truth, they wouldn't last very long.
I will hold my silence like a weapon in my hand. If I used it, I would murder.
nothing but niceness. Sailing west in attempt to find golden spices. Dominated by the popes and frenzy for ISIS. The Catholic Church expelled Jews and claimed it was righteous. The first man to see land would get a reward and get a yearly pension for life, clearly from God. A young sailor saw land, said we isn't far. Columbus lied, said he saw it the evening before. They touched ground, they were greeted by the Arawak. Columbus had them locked up as prisoners in an hour flat. He wanted to find a source of gold, and that was that. And when they thought that wasn't fair, then he stabbed their back. When there was no more gold, he took slaves instead and left 250,000 Indians in Haiti dead. The men died in mines, the women died at work. The children died from lack of milk and they died in the dirt. They were just taking advantage of a passive people. They were just being the savages of massive evil. That's the church work, that's the path of massive ego. That's the blood of Abraham being stabbed by the steeple. At 16, 19, they were patiently waiting for a ship to carry slaves that was changing the nation. The white man was a cannibal praying to Satan. Hatred, contempt, or pity, or patronization. That's the cornerstone, everything racism based in. The African had a more advanced civilization. Black was slave, master was white rationalization. 50 million dead, that's Western civilization. At first they appeared in the north, and they were helpless in the face of superior force. And all of them were chained together, they really was lost. Racism isn't natural, it's merely divorce. Before the slave trade, black was considered distasteful. By the Oxford Dictionary, I found it disgraceful. It's not a natural tendency to be bitter and hateful. It's a natural enemy of the critical staple. Slavery grew as the plantation system grew. The reason for that's kinda easily traceable. Society of helpless dependence was capable of saying fuck a slave master, you in slavery too. 7 slaves were put to death for murdering master. Fear of slave revolt had them developing faster. You a Catalan killer, an elegant bastard. I would burn the white man while smelling the ashes. From time to time, white man was part of the resistance. White indentured servants wanted no part of the system. King Philip's War showed that if people would listen, that they could maybe break the complex chain of oppression. Tyranny is tyranny, but that's a concession. But the women, they was treated like that of possessions. Black women had it work cause they was abused. That's the white justification of Aryan blues. The next move was to dominate the Mexicans. James Polk dominated them like they was next to kin. He sent Colonel Cross to lie to them and let them in. 11 days later, his skull was crushed, so message sent. We take nothing by conquest, that was the mantra. The military wasn't human, they were just monsters. Henry David Thoreau refused to pay his taxes, denounced the Mexican War and got locked in shackles. The 20th century opened, anger re-emerged. Reality of ordinary life was being heard. Anarchists and feminists came from factory work. Communism, socialism seemed to be rebirth. War is the health of the state is what Bourne said. And if you was born around that time, you was born dead. The Espionage Act had people confused, cause it was double talking, they didn't know how it be used. Supposedly it was an act against spying. Du Bois noted that was bullshit and they was lying. Charles Schenck was arrested in Philadelphia for printing and distributing leaflets cause they was helping you. He was indicted, tried and then found guilty, and spent 6 months in jail. Don't that sound silly? Had his freedom taken away by his own nation. But there's a lesson, do not submit to intimidation. The act still exists today and the shit is real. Supposedly Kennedy tried to have that shit appealed. Eugene Debs did 10 years for no purpose. He obstructed the recruiting and enlistment service. The post office started taking mail privileges of magazines who printed anti-war sentiments. A socialist named Fairchild had it right. He said that they can shoot me but they can't make me fight. They sentenced him to a year in jail and that was reckless. 65,000 men, conscientious objectors. They were sent to army bases to work there. They were treated sadistically and were hurt there. They were strangled with a hemp rope till they collapsed, and officers punched their stomach and their lower back. A garden hose was placed on their face with a nozzle about 6 inches from them so they couldn't swallow. The war ended in 1918. The government was just trying to wipe the slate clean. Hemingway wrote Farewell to Arms. Dalton Trumbo wrote Johnny Got His Gun. The war was over, but they didn't learn their lesson. Twin tactics of control, reform and repression. The patriotic fervor of war had been invoked. That's why the country that you live in is a fucking joke. You cannot be neutral on a moving train. This is a story about the lies that your teacher told you. This is real, actual, factual. No lies in the whole record. If you don't believe me, look it up. I'm trying to share the shit that I learned with y'all. Do the knowledge. Your government does not care about you. The people in power do not care about you. Understand that. Power to the people.
War is like a fix. You know, you get high on war. We won. And then you're down on the ground again. And you need another fix. You need another war. Why do you think we've had war after war after war after war? Every war they say, this is the end. This is the last war. In World War I, they said, this is a war to end all wars. And then not long after that was World War II. And then soon the United States was waging war in Korea and then Vietnam. If you study history, what you learn is that wars are always accompanied by lies. Wars are always accompanied by deception.
Wow, that was a lot, and relevant today. You know, he was talking about, you know, the only history is the history they want to give you, and that's, you know, in the headlines now with, you know, Florida is you know, cutting back black studies in colleges. And banning books. And the former president people keep saying that, you know, he might get indicted on the Espionage Act. It was all in this in 2012, so 10 years ago, and it's still very prescient. Vinnie did a great job. He's got a great flow. But, you know, he had a message. He wasn't here to fuck around. He was like, you know, I have to, you know, drop these gems on you. And he did. It hopefully got a lot of young people thinking when they first heard it, because a lot of what he said was true. You know, we are being lied to by our government. Of course, we don't know how much or how little because, you know, we're kept in the dark a lot of the time. Definitely not a car song. Could be a house song, but, you know, after I listen to it a couple more times and I get the message that he's trying to convey, then that's the last time I have to hear the song, even though I appreciate it. You know, I know what he's saying. I've absorbed it, and now I'm moving on. Well, thanks for hanging with me, guys. If you like this kind of content, give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.